when you take those pulls on the lawnmower, it's getting every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier. Gets a little bit easier, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. Um, and we're getting ready to rock and roll. I'm very excited for this season. And it seems like we just got over the hangover that was the Super Bowl. Just got over that. I see you in there, Tones. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, bro. All right. All right. My man Tone is ready. So let's drop back. Hold on for a second. Boom. Yeah. What up, Tone?
Sir, what's good? What's good? You better be ready, man. Training camp almost here, my man.
Almost here.
You know what I'm saying?
I am so ready, man.
Is it easy? It's a little easier to go into a well, let me ask you, is it easier going into a training camp knowing you just won a Super Bowl, you feeling a little good about yourself, or is it difficult trying to keep those demons at bay? I mean, what's your perspective on that?
A little bit of both. My championship experience was in the World League. We won the World Bowl in '96. Then you come back in '97, and obviously you want to run it back.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings a little high. Do we have the same people back? Are the same playmakers there? That sort of thing. So you do have that confidence. And then the confidence not going to go anywhere because, I mean, when you win the chip, you win the chip. Can't nobody tell you nothing, right? And then when that high comes down, it's like, oh, shit, we got to do it again.
Right.
Now, in regards to us, I love seeing all of those articles. I cannot remember the guy's name. He was on Rich Eisen's show.
Right.
And Rich Eisen had asked him, you work with Jalen Hurts. What is he like after he's won the big one, after he's been to the top? And the dude was like, Jalen is already on the field working out, working on minuscule little things,
right?
To get to the next level. That's the stuff I like to hear. Never satisfied. I know a lot of people, and I don't understand why, but I remember a lot of people was rolling their eyes when AJ Brown put the comments out that he did about the journey. And, once you get there, you think you reach something, and then the feeling is not what you thought it was. So you start the journey over again. So for him, it's all about the journey. And there's a lot of people like that. I think a lot of people get caught up in the culmination because it's so hyped and it's on every channel and it's the biggest thing in the world. And rightfully so. But when you're in the midst and when you do all of that work to get to that point, the work is what you fall in love with.
Right.
Because that moment, when you put it all together, that moment is 1%. The 99% to get there. And then you get that 1% of that moment. So the moment is short. But
that moment is glorious.
It's the ultimate. It is difficult to explain if you've never experienced it. Very difficult to explain. The only thing I can relate it to, and again, and even explaining it is personal. Everybody's going to experience it different, and everybody will explain it differently. But for me, the only feeling that I've gotten, I've won 2 championships.
Right.
One in high school. I mean, and we won conference championships in college and everything, but we won the state title in high school, and we were ranked like in the USA Today top 25 in the country.
Jeez.
And then Princeton High School, Cincinnati, Ohio. Put your hand over your heart every time you say it. And then when we won in '96 in the World League, we went from worst to first. We were the worst team in the league, and then we won the title that second year. But as far as the literal feeling, when I made the Eagles in '93,
right,
my first preseason game, when you walk out of that tunnel, and this was at the Vet, and you got 50, 60,000, whatever it is, and all of that energy is focused on you, that is a tangible experience. It's hard to explain, but when everybody in the arena is focused on you, all of those yells, those shouts, those cheers, those boos, all of that energy is focused in one direction,
because
and it is tangible. You can feel it.
Because expectation. I mean,
Yes.
expectation. People know what they saw. People who don't know any better think it's going to be exactly the same.
And it won't.
And it sounds like what you're describing is just trying to overcome success, right? Sometimes people say overcome failure, right? You got to overcome your trials and tribulations, but
Right.
overcoming success sometimes can be just as difficult for all the reasons you named. I mean,
Well, you trying to get that feeling again, and that because what good teams will do, you elevate, then you hit the peak, which would be the Super Bowl or any NBA championship, WNBA championship, major World Series win,
Stanley Cup, right?
Then when you hit that peak, how long is your fall before you level out again and start coming back? Because some people, when they hit that peak, the crash is heavy. Others, you get a little dip, then they right back in it.
Would that dip for the Eagles be the 2023 collapse?
Yeah. Good example.
How long would you say that lasted? Because to me, they went to the Super Bowl, they lost, right? And that automatically sends you down a little bit. And then the season starts, and you go on a run where you're getting by the skin of your teeth, but you're 10-1. So you're rising, but you're not rising the way you would like to.
Well, that's the thing.
You just drop.
That's the thing. When you go through the crash, there's no parameters on how long it'll last, how deep it'll go. It happens when it happens. Yeah. Because you like in the midst of 24, we didn't know what Howie Roseman was going to do. We didn't know we was going to get Saquon. We didn't know anything. We just knew it had to be better than the year before.
That's a real good point.
You don't understand it until you're actually going through it. It's like, okay, this is looking better. Hey, they running the ball more. Hey, this is happening. That's happening. It's looking better. It's looking worse. That sort of thing. We got hit by the injury bug. You never know what's going to happen. So you don't see it until you're in the middle of it. And then once you're in the middle of it, then you kind of take an assessment of what you got, what everybody's doing, how we playing. Are we tackling better than we did last year? That's when all of them questions come into play. Then you throw in, who do we get? Who do we sign? New vets, old vets. Did we get rid of some people? Did we make trades? All of that type of stuff goes in the pot. And then the realization comes, can that team make it to the playoffs? Because ultimately, that's when the reality hits. Because once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. But you got it. The journey to get there is what's so rough. So I'm saying all that to understand. I understand why AJ Brown said what he said. It makes sense because the journey getting back there is so very difficult. How many people said that Jalen Hurts could never, and they had facts to prove it too. That's what makes it even more remarkable. Yeah. The facts didn't lie. It's very difficult to lose a Super Bowl and get back. And he did it in two years. So I think we're okay, but the possibility exists that it could go south, but we can say that every year. But I think Howie Roseman has broke the mold and figured something out.
But here's the thing: in the NFL, it doesn't take much to go south, but it takes everything to go. It takes everything to go north.
Correct.
That doesn't take much. All it takes is an injury at one position, and it can offset what you do.
Exactly.
Don't let it be. Let's not even put that energy out there. But I think about the 2024 off season, right? Because our jobs here, putting out content, our job is to not just provide opinion and analysis, right? And give our personality and our aura and our gravitas and just perform and entertain. It's not only what it's about, right? When we do content, our job here is to chronicle the weeks and the months with these organizations, right? I think that's the part that kind of gets overlooked because we're so in it and we're just putting our content. But when you
Thank you,
take a
Tiff.
step, thank you, Tiffany. When you take a step back and just look at the macro, right, and just what transpired from the 2024 off season or 2023 season, 24 off season, the 2024 regular season, the playoffs, just chronicling and tracking the ups and downs, the rise and falls of the teams that we love,
Yeah.
and the moves they make to put themselves in position. When I think back about what they've done, what they did to get to that point at the mountaintop and win the Super Bowl, it's one of the most remarkable GM performances I've ever experienced as a sports fan.
Yeah.
I didn't say ever seen or ever because I'm only 30 years old. I'm sure other GMs done remarkable things. What Jimmy Johnson was able to do when he first got to Dallas. Who did he trade? Did he trade Herschel Walker?
Yeah. For
He
all of
traded
them
Herschel.
picks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow, some way he flipped Herschel Walker and so on and so forth. And then that amazing draft from I want to say when the Steelers were having their run. Was that the 70s or the 80s?
That was 70s.
70s when the Steelers, with Lynn
Steelers were the
Swann,
70s, San Francisco was the 80s, and
yeah,
Dallas was the 90s.
right, and Terry Bradshaw was like that.
Yeah.
The amazing draft. They drafted like 5 or 6 Hall of Famers in one draft class. It was crazy. It was something like that.
Yeah.
So there have been spectacular GM performances in the past, but when I think about what Howie Roseman did in 2024, like you mentioned, signing Saquon Barkley when the NFL world turned their back on him. Let's call it what it is. He's the belle of the ball now, and they want to act brand new now. but let's be real. The football world turned their back on Saquon Barkley. They were looking at the Philadelphia Eagles like they were psychopaths giving him the contract that they gave him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they turned their back on him, but I would say the NFL's value for him was not what he thought. But he proved them wrong.
Yeah,
and that's what every player wants to do.
Yeah. I still look at it like because he didn't get as many. Obviously, he got offers other than the Eagles, I'm sure. But when he mentioned how Dallas didn't give him an offer or Washington, okay, Washington kind of made sense to me because they were going through not only roster turnover but coaching turnover, ownership turnover. I don't know if they were ready for a move like that, so that kind of made sense.
Right.
Dallas, you had every reason in the world to go after Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. You had every reason in the world. And Jerry Jones does what Jerry Jones does. He's like a daisical. He's living in 1964. So on and so forth. He's more concerned with his Netflix documentaries. He's more concerned with making sure his cheerleaders get paid fair wages when they're, when most of the time it's just a part-time job for them anyway. Some of them are in law school. Some of them are nurses, doctors. Some of them are real estate agents. So like that's not even really their main income. But I digress. The moves Howie Roseman made in the 2024 offseason, the way we chronicled those moves and how they ultimately came to fruition, the seeds that were planted, the Zack Baun move, right?
Yes.
The Zack Baun move that you and I were pretty high on early on, and he ended up exceeding our expectations. I think we had a feeling he'll be good, right? I don't think you and I were discussing all Pro Bowl or Defensive Player of the Year finalists. We weren't talking like that, but
we were talking about he's just going to make the most of his opportunity to play, and boy, did he!
Right,
that might go down as one of the best acquisitions ever in our history.
Yeah, man. That acquisition rivals a lot of them because of what you were able to flip it to, or I'm not flip it to, but flip it for, right? You leveraged a 1-year minimum contract, for all Pro Bowl performance that gave you a Super Bowl ring,
right? And then here's the other level to that.
Yeah,
there's one thing when you acquire a player,
and
that player is pretty good. He's going to be either pretty good, or I should say, he was good. Effective. He was above average. Never expect him to get voted to the Pro Bowl. But when he's one of the best on your defense and has a major contribution to you winning a championship, you can't get. The only thing that Zack Baun could have done any better is if somehow he'd have been the Super Bowl MVP
or Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Now that wouldn't have happened, but even let me say it like this. After watching that defensive performance, if somebody would have said Zack Baun should be MVP, I wouldn't have agreed with it, but I would have understood the sentiment.
Yeah.
And to even be in that conversation, just the conversation. And I think fans, for the most part, obviously, and I say this all the time, I think people forget how supremely difficult it is to play in the league, and they forget how supremely difficult it is to actually win in this league. And when you have somebody like that comes out of nowhere, that was forgotten, lost in the sauce, and all of that type of stuff, that finally gets his opportunity, that steps up. Zack Baun is the dream of every NFL player.
Yeah,
every
he's so
NFL player.
But they're so difficult to find because
it
has to be the perfect balance, the perfect chemistry between preparation, opportunity, execution, a little bit of luck. And the luck is just landing in the right organization with the right staff that can get it out of you, right?
You took the words out of my mouth, bro.
So
the other part of that is the coaching.
Right. And see, you want to know how I knew. I mean, we watched the whole season. We knew Zack Baun was playing like his life depended on it, right? But because of his history, or because of the I guess you'll say the cachet of the player.
Yeah.
You were expecting some point of, okay, he's coming back to earth now. Right? I mean, that's what you would expect from a guy who started off hot, former special teamer. You gave him a 1-year deal. You're not expecting this thing to sustain itself. I mean, you want it to, you hope it will, but you're not. It's no way any of us really thought it would sustain onto that level, right? And then for him to do it over the course of a 17-game season, okay, all right, playoffs start. Now playoffs get real. Things get a little tight. Let's see if he can still be that guy. He was better, Marcus.
Better.
I think Zack Baun upped his level of play in the playoffs. You mentioned if he was MVP for the Super Bowl, you probably wouldn't agree, but you probably wouldn't argue that bad, right? Now, if the NFL had defensive player of the playoffs, right, offensive player of the playoffs, those kind of awards for the entire playoff run, who was the most outstanding player throughout the playoffs?
Right.
Defensively, Zack Baun would win that award. Defensively, Zack Baun would be in the mix for that. I'm gonna tell you why, though.
Yeah. I would agree with that. For me, it would be a 2-man race between him and Jalen
Carter, right? Four games played, 33 total tacks, which led the Eagles, 20 solo tackles, which led the Eagles, 2 TFLs, 1 quarterback hit, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble, 3 pass deflections, 2 interceptions.
Ridiculous.
He did everything.
That sounds like something you did on Madden.
He was everywhere.
He
was everywhere. And it goes back to his original stat line from that 2023 season, those final 5 or 6 games where he was able to start. The 6 games that he started, the stat line, what he was able to do in New Orleans. One of the things I said about him early on is this guy is a stat sheet stuffer. He's gonna affect the game in numerous ways if he can live up to what I think he could be. Right? Somebody called me crazy for calling him a stat sheet stuffer, and I'm like, do we not know what a stat sheet stuffer is? A stat sheet stuffer is somebody who's able to affect multiple columns of the box score.
Right. That's not a dig.
Right.
It's not a dig.
But they didn't take it as a dig. They thought I was overestimating the player.
Right.
And a stat sheet stuffer, you can have 10 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. You stuffed the stat sheet. You know what I'm saying? So Zack Baun's case, 2023, those 6 games he started, this brother put up 30 total tackles, 20 solo, 4 TFLs, 4 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, 2 pass deflections, and an interception, affecting the game in more ways than one. So everything he did in 2023 for 6 games he started for the Saints, it just grew exponentially for 2024. It was a precursor for what was to come if you really did the research on the player. I was doing research on him, reading Saints articles about him, and they were saying, hey, the Saints, he's a guy that, even though he was a special teamer, he's a guy that we believe that they're going to miss. These are Saints beat writers, Saints local writers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he became what he became, right? Take it a step further, Mekhi Becton, right?
Same thing.
You know, so many moves, the draft class, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, so many moves, and Jalen Hunt, right? So many moves that happened that catapulted this team in 2024. Again, hindsight, you chronicle and everything. You say to yourself, how do you gamble on these guys? And it just works. Like,
they do
and
their homework, man.
Right.
They
and you
do
could
their
gamble,
homework.
but you got to have the incubator. You got to have the people in the building to nurture and cultivate that talent and be able to believe in those guys, man. And it's so much that goes into creating a Super Bowl caliber, Super Bowl winning roster. And I hate how people just dismiss it. Oh, yeah, they're a super team. And no, I don't like that because it dismisses everything that they had to do to get up to that point. It dismisses every ounce of disrespect that they received from the 2023 collapse and how they managed to overcome that. You don't get to call us a super team when you called us one of the most unworthy teams after that 2023 collapse. You don't get to do that.
Remember we talked about it's the little thing. It's the I see you got your little championship. You got your,
yeah.
You know,
they don't get to do that, Marcus. Nah, they don't get to do that. You don't get to call us a super team when it suits you now because we won the Super Bowl when you weren't even talking like that. You didn't even fix your lips to even consider.
If you're gonna be mad by
team.
yourself. Yeah. Hey, Philly D. Me and Tone talked about Zack Baun last year. This very thing. And what we came up with. Appreciate the super chat, by the way.
For sure.
Zack Baun, when he was in New Orleans, he was just one of those guys that was lost in the sauce because he had 2 big contracts in front of him. And that's the business of it. Zack Baun got stuck in the business of it because I don't even remember who it was. 2 starters in front of him had better contracts and they weren't playing bad. That's the thing. It wasn't like they sucked. So they're going to stick with a situation like that. And guys like Zack Baun are littered around the league. And it's just like we were just saying that rarely do those guys come out on the other side on another organization with better coaching and they really get to shine. But lucky for us, Zack Baun was that dude. And we found him because wasn't nobody talking about Zack Baun when we acquired him.
At all.
The premise with Zack Baun was not premise is the wrong word. The scouting report on Zack Baun was he's going to be a good special teams player, probably a special teams captain type player.
You know what people wanted? People wanted Patrick Queen because I think he was available at the time, and the Eagles had some money, and you know they are the first person I think the biggest.
Thanks again,
the first big contract or first big day they signed for agency, I think it was Saquon, right?
Yeah,
and you know, even me, I was like, it's not that I didn't like the move or I wasn't excited about the move. Because it's exciting getting a player like that, but I was pretty measured when we got Saquon, right? You know, there were some people who were completely like, nah. Some people who were like, oh yes, but I was pretty measured because I'm like, okay, they made this move, but we're coming off of a season where your offense really wasn't the problem; it was your defense,
right?
So, what are we doing to invest in that defense? That was my thing when Saquon got paid, right? So Zack Baun, he was a cheap signing. I'm like, okay.
See, I didn't think the problem was our defense. I thought the problem was the coaching on defense because if you remember, if we could just tackle, our defense would not have looked as bad as it performed.
I'm glad you said that
because Reed Blankenship, and to me, that's coaching. Not that you getting paid a lot of money. I expect you to know how to tackle. So what happened between 23 and 24? How did they learn how to tackle again? They didn't forget. That's coaching, not honing in on the little things. And the talent is already there. Them dudes knew how to tackle. How come they weren't tackling? And that's when that's the kind of the unknown things in film sessions where coaches really ring you with new ones. Like, hey, come on, man, you getting this much money. It's like sometimes you got to embarrass some dudes in the film. Like, dude, you got this $10 million bonus, bro. You can't make that tackle.
Stay right there.
Stuff like that all the time.
Stay right there. And that's where Vic Fangio comes in.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's a difference between Vic Fangio and Sean Desai, right? There's a clear difference. And Matt Patricia deserves a lot of the blame too for those final 4 or 5 games, right? But Sean Desai, he was the guy they hired.
And whoever, I guess I would put it on Howie, whoever decided to bring in Patricia in the first place.
Exactly, right? A lot of them were to blame in different ways, but just specifically talking about Sean Desai.
There's a lot to go around.
Vic Fangio, no nonsense, has pedigree, gives you grumpy old man, right? You know, that the players talk a lot about how he works them hard. And one of the things that the DBs always complain about is at the end of practice, at the end of every practice, they got to do box drills.
Yeah.
And Reed Blankenship was always like, oh my God, I hate those things. Right. You know, on the Exciting Mike's podcast, because it came up quite a few times. Reed Blankenship was like, oh my God, those always kill me, man. Coop's like, oh man, I love those things. DeShields like, I love those. You know what I mean? Quion's like, Q's like, yeah, you know, they cool, you know how Q is. They cool, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But the point is, Fangio has no reservations about laying down the law. No reservations about installing his expectations.
Yeah.
Right. The players have been preaching about that. I don't know Sean Desai. I wasn't in the building, but there is a chance or even a thread of a possibility that he was a candy ass. And what I mean is, like, the guys didn't respect him, and he didn't have that ironclad will like a Vic Fangio has.
That's a personality thing, and that's very well.
Last thing before you go, with all due respect to him, ain't nobody sitting my ass in no box and giving somebody else my job, and I got to sit there and watch. I don't know anybody with any kind of ego or backbone is letting that happen. Listen, fire me. You got to fire me. You're not going to demote me, put me in a box, and embarrass me on national television. You're going to fire me.
Exactly.
So when I think about it, like when I put all that into the same pot, I'm like, oh, this brother, did he have cojones? Like, did he have aura? Did he have a presence? Like, players can sniff that. They can smell that.
Well, yes, but you got to remember, you know, I say it all the time. You don't deal with people, you deal with personality. And maybe the majority of the personalities in the room didn't vibe with the size. However, clearly they didn't vibe with Patricia's either. And you would call him the exact opposite. So which one is right and which one is wrong? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that defense was already too far gone though once Patricia took over. I think it was too far gone. Right.
But at the end, to me, you're not wrong. The problem is whether you like Sean Desai or not. Mm-hmm. Up until that point, there were he did have a good measure of success.
There were moments for sure. Yeah, I don't want to take that away. There were moments.
So
they still weren't tackling well, though.
Huh?
They still weren't tackling well. Like they were inconsistent.
Correct. And I think that might be where you come in with the personality issues, because is he the type of dude? It might not be his personality to be the fire and brimstone, get in your face, old school type attitude that says, get your ass on the ground and tackle the right way, or we're going to be out here all damn day. Where Vic Fangio is a little bit different. He might not be that gruff, but apparently he's gruff enough, no nonsense, but at least you know what you're dealing with from the jump.
Right.
If Vic Fangio didn't show me anything else, the way he dealt with what's his name? What was the linebacker that never played? That we got from
Oren Burks.
No, not Oren Burks. Before, what was the guy we got from Tampa Bay?
Oh, Devin White.
How he dealt with Devin White showed me. I was like, he doesn't play, and he knew, because if you remember the stories, everybody was like, Devin White is good, and he runs a 4.4, and he was the captain at one time. So we got a good player. Why is he not on the field? It must be something wrong. Everybody was coming up with ideas, and they was coming up with ideas because Vic Fangio never said nothing. Never said a word about it. And then when the shit really hit the fan was when we went to Brazil and he was on the sideline.
Yep. No, he actually didn't
he didn't
fly
travel.
down there.
He didn't travel.
They said he had
wait a minute.
They said he had an injury or something.
Wait a minute. Like something.
And then a report came out saying Nakobe Dean was always penciled in as a starter.
Correct. It was like before the injury. Stop it.
I'm like, okay.
Stop it.
I'm like, okay, this season already started off with a little bit of theater.
With some nonsense. Yep. Here we go.
Because all off season, you and I were discussing this, right? If we look at it like a leaderboard, the top guys on the leaderboard for linebacker were Zack Baun and Devin White, and Nakobe Dean was probably third because he was the one that was rotating in.
Correct.
He was the one that was either with Zack Baun or Devin White, right? Zack Baun or Devin White was always on the football field at any given time. Nakobe was the one rotating in, getting the reps, right? And then Nakobe had a setback at the open practice. Vic Fangio openly spoke about that. And what was interesting, now I think about it in hindsight, you know how they always say, don't get mad because I'm talking about you. Get concerned when I'm not.
When I'm not. Absolutely.
And when I think about it in hindsight, he was speaking on Nakobe Dean quite often. Didn't really speak much about Devin White.
Didn't say Jack. That
in hindsight, because I'm working this out in real time now. This is a very raw idea I'm approaching you.
Yeah. Pause right there real quick. Dro, thank you for the $4.99 super chat.
Thank you, Dro.
Even with losing a few pieces of defense, it's going to be better with the main nucleus developing under Fangio. That part right there goes to exactly what you're talking about, Tone. The nucleus. Fangio knows how to develop a nucleus. Who's the core? Who's the leaders? And the one thing I think Fangio does not get enough credit for is you don't have to be the loudest player on the team to be the leader on the team. Sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing. And then get out there and you just look at everybody in that huddle and like, follow me, I got you. And we got those type of dudes. And to your point, Fangio's attitude, the way he goes about his business, you might not like it in the beginning, but when it starts yielding results, you ain't got no choice but to follow because it yields results. Fangio's out here getting folks paid.
Facts.
All y'all in Miami that want to kick rocks.
Yeah, bro.
I'll never forget that, bro.
It's so funny. Like I said, like the whole Miami thing, and then you think about how he came to Philly and, the whole Devin White situation and whatnot. And, it's just like I said, don't be concerned when I'm talking about you. Be concerned when I'm not.
I'm not.
And that didn't dawn on me last year or last offseason. And Zack Baun was being talked about often because he was a guy that was brought in and initially to probably be like an edge, like an off ball, and then Nick and Fangio were talking. It was like, hey, let's try this guy at middle. Let's see if he can handle that. And even Zack Baun talked about it. He was like, I was out. They put me at middle and nothing, and I just stayed there. You know what I mean? I was like,
stayed there.
So it's just
he likes the little things, man. Alex, appreciate the $1.99 super chat. Peanut punch drill. How many turnovers did we force last year?
We forced a lot of fumbles last year. Like a lot of fumbles. Like we had a crazy stretch. Let me double check this. Like it was I'm trying to remember when that crazy stretch started. I want to say maybe it was the Steelers game when that run on turnover started. I want to say the Steelers game.
Yeah.
Because in the Steelers game, make sure I got this right here. In the Steelers game, the Eagles forced.
Thanks again, Alex.
The Eagles forced 2 turnover. No, I lied. The Eagles forced 1 turnover. The Eagles turned it over twice. But the Eagles forced 1 turnover in that Steelers game, right? And then that Washington game came, the one we lost. We forced, I believe, 5 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
We forced five turnovers, so that's 6 turnovers. And then Dallas game came. We forced 4 turnovers, so that's 10 turnovers in the span of 3 games. Then the Giants game came. I'm not sure.
Hey, Selmo, stop tripping, man. I'm an Ohio boy, and I like the Browns.
We forced a turnover there, so that's 11 turnovers in your final. That's 11 turnovers in your final 4 games, right? And then the playoffs start. You force Green Bay into 3 turnovers. Was it 3 turnovers? Because Love threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
So that's 13 turnovers. Oh, and we got a forced fumble, so it's 4 turnovers. So 4 turnovers in that. So that's 14 turnovers in your previous in 5 game span. Then the divisional round in that Rams game, I think we forced like 3 turnovers. Make sure I got that right here. We forced 2 turnovers in that game. So see, I'm losing count, like 16. I'm losing count.
It was a lot, bro.
And then
even
we forced
the ridiculous. The big one was the Rams game.
Those turnovers were so crucial. They were forced fumbles, like
exactly
punching them out, like
it wasn't
Isaiah Rodgers doing what he did and returning it.
It wasn't players that normally don't play. It was in the midst of a heated battle. Heck, wasn't it the Rams where it was the first play of the game, the kickoff?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but again, little things, and just the fact that you get on a podcast and talk about a drill that your coach is making you do, and you hate it. But he never said he don't want to do it. He never said he didn't do it. He just said he hated it. And
he laughs. He laughs it off.
You know what it is, and it's like you got to get yourself into a situation where you got to do the things you don't want to do.
And that's what the season encapsulated, man. Even Josh Sweat, right? Josh Sweat. They asked him openly before the season started about dropping back. Vic Fangio likes to drop back his off, his edge rushers, off-ball linebackers, and get creative a little bit. Sweat was like, "Yeah, nah, I like going forward. I don't like dropping back."
Right.
So, one person can say, "Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that perspective right now. It's off season, new DC. I don't like guys that aren't buying in." You could take it that way, or you could just say, he's being tongue in cheek. He's just saying it with a smile. He's going to obviously do the work. It's nothing really to, think too much about. But the bottom line is Vic Fangio completely overhauled their habits.
Yes.
He overhauled their habits.
He changed the culture in that room.
Completely. And these guys are excited to get back. Like Zack Baun and Nolan Smith and these guys, like they're excited about the 2025 season. Zack Baun believes they're going to be even better because they're that much more familiar with the scheme, right? Nolan Smith has waxed poetic about BG's impact on him and helping him develop his habits in the NFL, and how being able to get coached under Vic Fangio was a dream come true for him, because Vic Fangio has coached all his favorite edge rushers like Von Miller, guys like that. He has nothing but positive words said by Vic Fangio, because he feels like it's so important for him to be, to remain coachable and to welcome something so domineering as a guy like Vic Fangio, a guy who has sustained success in his league as a defensive mind. A lot of those guys look at it as a privilege.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, guys in Miami were just like, when we're going to South Beach, bro. Like, you might forget what it was in Miami. Here's the difference between those two rosters. The Miami defense was a bunch of free agents who got their money.
Yeah. Good players.
And that good players, but a bunch of free agents, a bunch of guys who got their money. And that Eagles defense was a bunch of vets and young guys who didn't know no better.
What do I say, Tone? What do I say? Are you hungry or do you want something to eat? There's a difference. Hungry guys will do whatever it takes. If you just want something to eat, you'll go in the cabinet and you'll just take whatever. Because you don't feel like doing anything extra. You don't feel like go to the store. You damn sure don't feel like cooking. So are you hungry or do you just want something to eat?
Yeah, man.
And guess what? It takes about 4 weeks to really begin to change a culture in a locker room. And let's focus it down even more. Let's one side of the room, defensive, because since we're talking about Vic Fangio, it takes 4 weeks because you got, when you come in, let's include camp. So it actually takes a little bit longer, but I'm taking as far as when you actually play games, because you went through camp, you went through everything, and you've been hearing all of this noise, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, whether you get along with the coach or not. Then when the games start, you got 2 weeks of the good and the bad. And now you start to filter. Let's get all of the bad shit out. Let's get out of those mistakes. You keep doing this. Why do you keep doing this? This is not what we practice. Now you get into the back and forth with the players. Then you got the other 2 weeks. Are they going to listen and take what your coaching says? And if they do, are they better for it? So at the end of those 4 games, it's longer than 4 weeks, but let's just say 4 games. Now you really see what you have. And it's up to the players. Now the attitudes come in. Is it too much ego? I'm going to do what I want to do anyways. Because sometimes you have that. Even when players see the other way is the better way. Like, nah, if I do that though, we gonna win, but I ain't gonna get mine. I ain't gonna reach that incentive bonus. I ain't gonna. So you got a lot of attitudes, egos, personalities in the mix that even when they see what's going right, they still don't want to do it. That is when, if you have the majority of the squad looking your way and you got the majority of the veterans looking your way, because a veteran can argue down another veteran. A veteran can argue down a rookie. A rookie ain't going, or a young player is not going to argue down no 6-7 year vet.
Exactly.
So again, to your point, you got to have the right mix of people in the locker room who want to buy in. And I don't think people understand about buying in. Why you think teams always bringing in somebody? You're like, why the hell did they sign him?
People think buying in is like something that's automatic.
He's a locker room presence. That's what that means. A locker room presence. That means that dude is in there because either he's been with the coach before, been with the organization before. He knows what it takes. Maybe he won a Super Bowl on another team. So nobody can question what this dude is about. And if he gets on board with the coach or the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, something like that, more people are more apt to face in the right direction. So you need that personality in that locker room.
I agree 100%. I mean, when I think about some of the OGs in the Eagles locker room, right, as far as personalities and leadership, when you speak about vets, the Eagles they've done a great job cultivating a brain trust of leaders and people to follow, right? Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, right? Darius Slay. I guess you could throw Josh Sweat in there. He's like a silent. He's the silent type.
Even better,
And even if we take it further back, Malcolm Jenkins, right? The Eagles just did an amazing job creating environments that you can really develop leaders in. And sometimes things will go your way. It is what it is. But I feel like the Eagles have never been short on culture.
Yeah.
Again, things can go wrong in the season where your culture maybe takes a hit or things get called into question. But I feel like they've always put culture first. They've always put environment first, because they understand that in order to bring the best out of people, you got to put them in an environment where they can be successful. You got to develop an environment where they can be their best selves and feel supported. You know what I'm saying? So it's not easy.
Bam.
It's not easy. Whoa, Billy Johnson.
Man, listen.
Billy Johnson.
Billy
Johnson
dropping bombs. I got to make me a bomb animation or something. I got to make me an on-screen animation for the super chats and the super stickers and all of that, man. Much love,
Billy Johnson. Thank you for this. Thank you for the super sticker, my guy. Shout out to Billy Johnson.
Coming through in the clutch.
Man, oh man. You have no idea, big dog. Listen, I tell them all the time, y'all paying my bills. I tell them all the time, and I appreciate it. This is a job. Not only do I love doing this, but we make money off this content. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into this, man. This is something
we put
care
time
about.
into this, bro.
And a lot of effort. We're not just talking outside of our faces. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes effort to put this kind of stuff together. And when people donate and invest in the channel, man, it just adds more fuel to the fire. It shows that your work means something. It shows that they're getting a product that they're enjoying, that's stimulating them in some kind of way. I appreciate you, Mr. Johnson. I appreciate you, William Johnson, for the $50 super sticker. What makes it even dope is you didn't even have a comment. You just give me a super sticker, man. Just say, hey, for the love.
Jay said, that's my uncle.
Oh, yeah? What's up, Uncle Billy?
Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy Johnson.
That's what's up.
Hey, shout out to Uncle Billy. You feel me?
Damn right.
We appreciate you, Mr. Johnson, man. And Jay Johnson, shout out to you, man. Shout out to the Johnson family. You know what I mean? Sure. But again, you guys' investment doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate you guys for always donating and supporting the channel, man. And that really, really means a lot to us. But yeah, we've been waxing poetic about the defense, right? And Vic Fangio's impact on the defense and how guys, became what they became on the defensive side, right? That offensive side, it doesn't seem like the most stimulating talk because the guys on that side of the ball are so talented, so effective. Like, we just expected it to kind of maintain, you know. But Jay Johnson, you see Jay Johnson? He said, I don't even know him, but he a Johnson. But when you think about that offense and what needed to happen, right? Because again, you bring in Saquon. And no one knows exactly what it's going to look like. We just know that the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football, and he should be able to be successful, right? But one, I don't think we anticipated him having that kind of a season. And for two, just going back to buy-in, the amount of buy-in that was required to allow Saquon to have that season that he did, it can't be overlooked or understated, because sometimes guys can get in their feels and try to force coach's hand to try to change how they win and how they play, right? And a layman or somebody who doesn't understand would say, oh, that was AJ Brown because he brought up the passing game, right? And my retort to that would be, no, when he brought it up, the passing game was looking a little funny money. That's a fact. You know what I mean? But just thinking about the evolution of Nick Sirianni, what Kellen Moore came in and did. Kellen Moore came in and said, you know what? I'm not going to overcook this thing. He added some wrinkles, right? He added some things that we didn't see, some more motion. I seen some route concepts that I'd never seen before. One of the route concepts that I didn't see before was the route AJ Brown ran on Jair Alexander for the 60-plus yard touchdown in Brazil.
He ran it on who?
Jair Alexander. Yeah.
Really?
The guy that they know and love. But that route that AJ ran, and look, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody help me out. But that route he ran on Jair Alexander, part of it was bully ball, but listen, Kellen Moore brought some things to the Eagles for sure. But I also think he looked at his roster and was like, yeah, I don't really need to overcomplicate this thing. I just need to not get in the way.
Yeah, and credit to him, because that could have went a couple of different ways. And he understood what we needed to do. He let Jalen Hurts be Jalen Hurts. To me, that's the most important thing. Because what offensive coordinator doesn't want their quarterback to throw for 1,000,000 yards? And to me, how I look at that is, that's like when you was little and your mama's told you couldn't have that cake. And you was mad because you didn't have that cake. What you didn't know was you was allergic to peanuts, and the cake had peanuts in it. So moms knew what was best for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for Jalen Hurts and for Kellen Moore, even to just scale that back and to say, we got this dude 2-6 back here, and we got that offensive line in front of us that can't be stopped. Why don't we just keep doing that? And even though, and I'll just talk about myself, even though I still bitch moan and complain that they wasn't running him the right way and running him enough sometimes.
Yeah, that was a funny arc for you because
man,
because I'm like the results you couldn't argue with, but at the same time, like I saw what you were talking about, and I think that was just your running back brain.
Yeah, I was nitpicking.
Yeah,
but even with that logic was, if they winning, you nitpicking. If they losing, then you complaining. So of course I wanted them to do things differently, and I was right that when they ran them zone reads, Saquon was out. But
it just so happened that every one of those zone when he bounced out or whatever, like every one of those, he took it like 50, 60 plus. You weren't, to your point, I guess you were trying to say it's not that what they're doing is wrong, is that they can get a lot more done.
They can get a lot more out of it. But in the big scheme of things, look at how it worked out in the Super Bowl. Because everybody clamped down to stop Saquon. And I remember me and you had a conversation the week before the Super Bowl, and I was like, if they want to bring that extra man in the box and leave Devontae and A.J. Brown on the outside on islands, you go ahead and do that. And that's exactly what they did, and Jalen Hurts burnt them every time.
And it spoke volumes about how they see Jalen Hurts, right? They saw Jalen Hurts as the most they saw Jalen Hurts as a problem that they could handle rather than
rather
than Saquon. Like, they felt like if Saquon got going, it'd be a snowball going downhill. They wouldn't be able to stop it.
You know what? They didn't do their homework.
And not just that, but I think it was simple. I think it was as simple as this. And I know it's cliche, but they had to pick their poison. You either allow the reigning offensive player of the year, a guy who has over 2,000 rushing yards, beat you, or you take the lesser of two evils, right? The lesser of two evils, and you try to force Jalen Hurts into some mistakes, right? And
I think they said
it was a tough proposition. That's not, I'm not going to dismiss it. It was a tough proposition for the Chiefs.
I think they legitimately said, if we stop Saquon, Jalen Hurts is not going to beat us in the air.
Okay, of course. I think they definitely said that. For sure.
And that is, you know what? I take that back. I can't say they didn't do their homework because I know they studied, and I know they were fully aware of what Jalen Hurts can do in the air. We just hadn't seen it in a while where he went off. Jalen Hurts went off throwing the ball.
Yeah, last time we saw it was Steelers game. Then he got hurt the following game, and he was pretty much on ice. And then he started out the playoffs a little measured, a little slow. The funny thing about it, though, as much as people want to criticize his playoff performance on those first two games, didn't turn the ball over.
Nope. That was
one turnover. Whether you want to, and that was in the Super Bowl. And whether people want to accept it or not, he was, and again, maybe he wasn't throwing the ball the way you wanted him to, but he was pretty accurate in the playoffs. Green Bay completed 62% of his passes, a little below his average. He went 13 for 21, but he threw 2 touchdowns, and he had 36 rushing yards, right? So maybe his completion percentage wasn't as high, but he threw 2 touchdowns, right?
Tone, shout out to you, Pops.
Hey, Dad, what's going on, man? What's going on, big dog? How you holding it down, man? I got to give you a call. Then divisional round comes. Rams. He goes 15 for 20. He completes 75% of his passes. He was accurate. Ran it in for a 40-yard plus touchdown. He generated 198 total yards of offense in the air and rushing. His passing yards wasn't there, but it also doesn't get talked about how, he threw a touchdown pass to AJ. Dropped it.
Yeah.
Dropped it. It was a beauty, too. Dropped it in the snow. He threw a dime in the snow, dropped it.
Yep.
He threw a pretty deep ball to Smitty, dropped it. Like it was just
Private McClunky, we're gonna get to this in a minute.
It was just a little. My biggest problem with the whole Jalen Hurts talk, right? Because again, Kellen Moore didn't overcook it, and the best OCs, in my opinion, they do what needs to be done, not what they want to do. They do what they need to do, not what they want to do.
Correct.
And I think Kellen Moore looked at his roster and said, "I need to give Saquon the ball, and we're going to play off of that." Right? That doesn't make anybody any less of a player, but we're going to play off of Saquon because he's generating. He's on fire. We got to feed that beast. And AJ and Devontae knew that. But my biggest problem with the Jalen Hurts discourse is that they like to lean on the notion that because he averages about 25 attempts a game, they don't trust him to throw the ball.
Correct.
Right? That's their logic. They made him throw less, therefore they don't trust him.
Right.
Right? Now, the other way goes, and this is based off their premise. The other way is if they're throwing the ball more, that must mean they trust their quarterback, right? That's their logic. But if a quarterback is throwing more, it can also mean they don't have a running game. That's the other narrative that we can lean on. And the other way, which is what it was for the Eagles, they're throwing less because they have an unstoppable running game. But they want to use the narrative they're throwing less because they don't trust Jalen Hurts. I hate that narrative. The goalpost,
man.
Right.
Whichever way you go.
Right. And it's all about perspective. And this just goes to show you the way you tell stories, the way you chronicle these teams, the way you weave a narrative can really shape how people perceive a player. Because if the narrative was, hey, they didn't throw less because they didn't trust Jalen Hurts. They threw less because they had Saquon Barkley doing what he was doing. That makes perfect sense. Who wouldn't do that? I can't think of any coach, anybody worth their salt, having a guy like Saquon doing what he's doing in their roster, and they're trying to force feed throwing the ball 30, 40 plus times a game. You're an idiot, and you're going to lose your job doing that. You got a guy playing at that level. So then, getting back to my original point, they claim that they don't trust Jalen Hurts to throw the ball because of the pass attempts and the pass yards and so on and so forth, right? But let's not be obtuse about this. Jalen Hurts was top 10 in completion percentage this season. He was top 10 in yards per attempt. Like,
checking all them boxes, man.
The Philadelphia Eagles were one of the best teams in terms of explosive plays and accuracy when it comes to 20-plus yard throws down the field. And I find it so cute how they try to say that the Eagles don't trust Jalen Hurts, but there's so much evidence down in distance, 4th and 5, 4th and 3, 3rd and long, 2nd and long, 4th and longs. There's so many situations where they probably just need 3 yards or 4 yards to get that first down on 4th down.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Hurts, go ball, AJ, bomb. Like some of the throws, a lot of the throws he made this past season, you can't tell me they don't trust that man. You can't tell me that. You can't convince me they don't trust that man when the Giants game, 4th and 3. I know you remember this play. It's 4th and 3. Jalen Hurts drops back, throws a bomb to A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
You can't tell me they don't trust this man. Another throw. Less than 2 minutes left. The game was on the line. You get the first down. You win the football game. Week 6, the Browns. What does Jalen Hurts do on 2nd down? Throws a bomb to A.J. Brown. Game over. He didn't do that, but he did that. It
doesn't happen the way they want it to happen. So
I got another one for you.
It's always going to be a negative.
Got another one for you. 3rd and 22. 3rd and 22. Jaguars game. Eagles are past the 50-yard line. You know what Jalen Hurts does on 3rd and 22? He doesn't try to get the 22 yards back. He throws a bomb, a laser to Smitty in the end zone. Smitty snags it. Smitty snags it. One hand, toe tap, swag, touchdown.
Thought it was out of bounds.
There's too many instances where this brother has delivered cash money throws in dire situations. Like I get so peeved by it, but I ultimately understand that these guys are getting paid to read a script.
Yeah,
they're getting paid to read a script. These guys aren't talented. These guys aren't compelling. These guys are getting paid to read a script. Their dad works at the network, or their dad played in the league. Therefore, they got to connect. Like, these guys are just talking. There's one guy on Fox Sports that peeves me because he talks like he got peanut butter slathered all over his mouth. The dude that does breakfast ball with Stank and Carton, the third guy, not Craig Carton.
I think I know what you're talking about. He got the punchable.
Because Craig Carton talks like he took 4 shots before the show.
What's the name of the show?
Breakfast Ball.
Breakfast Ball. I think I know. I think we're talking
FS1,
about
on FS1. Not Stank, because Stank my man. Mark Schlerber's my man.
Yeah,
not Craig Carton.
Not the ball dude.
Yeah, the guy.
I think the guy that looks like he need to be punched in the face.
Yeah, him. He is such a weasel.
I feel the same way.
He is such a weasel, bro. I forget his name.
I feel the same way.
He is
Danny Parkins.
He is such a weasel, bro.
Danny Parkins.
He's not good. He's not good.
I said the same thing.
I think he was guest hosting on First Things First with Nick Wright and Chris Broussard, because I think Brew was
he one of those type of personalities that just wants to, regardless of what he say, he just knows he's right. It's like, bro, he got that attitude.
He was dying on this hill that, because I think somebody came out, is somebody last name Tice or Pice, whatever his name is, he came out with the top 10 quarterbacks and Jalen Hurts was left off of it, right? And it was obviously blasphemous. It was obviously clickbait. And Nick Wright, believe it or not, Nick Wright and Chris Broussard was like, yo, this list is you can't justify having some of these guys on this list and I had Jalen Hurts, and you just can't. You can't justify it. And Parkins, what is his name? Cody Parkins, like Duke Parkins, what is it? Danny Parkins?
Danny Parkins.
He just kept saying, like, well, they obviously don't trust him to throw the ball. Look at the pass attempts. Look at the pass yards. They don't trust him to throw the ball. How can somebody be a top 10 quarterback if they don't trust him to throw the ball? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, he just sounds like sounds like a dork. Like, and I'm like,
tone on a heater right now.
And I'm like, bro, do you watch the games? Do you do you really watch the game and go through it with a fine-tooth comb? Like, do you really have a passion for this game, or are you just talking? Because it's like, I cannot say they don't trust Jalen Hurts when I see him in so many situations deliver these catch money throws in these crazy situations, like 3rd and long, 4th and long. You can't say they don't trust him. You can't tell me that.
He comes across as the type of guy, and this is what sells in this era. He comes across as the guy that you can't wait to disagree with. Because he just has that look. He's got that smug look, like he thinks he's better than you. And I don't know the dude, and he could be the nicest dude in the world, but he just has that look.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a family man. I'm sure he goes to church on Sundays. I
think in this day and age, to me, ain't no different than like him and Stephen A. Smith. He just got that attitude that you want to disagree with, and nowadays that sells. He's always going to be the one that comes up with something that ruffles everybody's feathers, and because the way the landscape exists now, he gonna get the traffic.
He's just not good, bro. He's not compelling, not compelling like at all, right? And the thing is, right? He nitpicks those Jalen Hurts stats, the pass attempts, the pass yards, right? You nitpick them
exactly.
But then when you go to the 31st ranked passing team, as far as like pass attempts, the 31st ranked pass attempt team, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Like,
he knows what he's doing.
Justin Herbert this past season, they had probably their most efficient, most effective season under Jim Harbaugh, right? Is it Jim?
Yeah, but here's the
No,
problem.
here's the thing. They passed significantly less, ran the ball significantly more.
Yeah, but Tone, here's the problem. You making sense. His job is not to make sense. His job is to generate controversy, to generate clicks and traffic, and that's exactly why he's doing it.
Because my question would be to him, okay, so does that mean that the Chargers trust Justin Herbert less? Because that's the person he was trying to campaign for.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, so are you saying that they trust Justin Herbert less? Because he was throwing for all these yards, he was putting up all these passes, but they were losing. They weren't winning football games. So they dialed back on the pass attempts to sort of run the ball more, and they started winning more games, and their defense was better, and so on and so forth. So are you trying to say that they trust Justin Herbert less also as well? Is that what you're trying to say? Hey, Lamar Jackson's pass attempts were bottom 2 in the league. Are you trying to say they don't trust Lamar Jackson? Is that what you're trying to say here?
Man, like I said before, Tone.
Jordan Love, his pass attempts actually dropped exponentially. But
you'll generate more traffic when you say stuff that people don't agree with.
But here's the thing, right? Jordan Love, his pass attempts dropped a lot in the second half of the season. But his dropped because they actually didn't trust him. He was throwing interceptions left and right. Throwing off the back foot, turning the ball over. They started throwing the ball less, started leaning on Josh Jacobs more. But it was too little too late.
Too little too late.
So it's like, again, like you said, I'm making too much sense.
Let's transition off of this. I want to get to Private McClunky because I had this written down to talk about the Bryce Huff.
It's
situation.
funny.
And hold on, let me because there was another one.
You lay it out.
Kyle, we gonna get to
Kyle
this question. We gonna get to this answer through the Bryce Huff thing. So thank you for the $5 super chat, Private McClunky. Appreciate the $10 super chat.
I promise you, Coach, I was not going to bring this situation up.
I was.
Because, and thank you, Private, for the super chat once again. And we definitely want to read it. It's just
to me,
just in
Bryce Huff. Damn, I didn't think about it. Bryce Huff, Mekhi Becton, both from the same team, both basically in the same situation.
One guy bought and one guy didn't.
There you go. In a nutshell. Why is that? Why is that?
Because one guy had got him out. If you ask me, because again, I promise you, I wasn't going to bring this up because I told myself that I can't entertain this. Like when I know I can't entertain something when I know it's BS. But here's my thought, and it may be shallow, but here's my thought. One guy got paid, one guy didn't. One guy got his money and he was comfortable bucking the system, and one guy felt like his career was on the line if he didn't buy in.
Are you hungry or do you want something to eat?
You said it best.
I think it kind of leans into that a little bit, because most NFL players don't think they're just going to walk on the field and be all of that. I think he got a little bit of a inflated ego because of the season that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really got to, I think we talked about this too. You got to look at the other situations. Who's on the other side of you? Who was taking some of the pressure off you? Who are you going up against? But I think I said it when we talked about it. You don't just luck into 11 sacks. You had to do something right.
Mm-hmm.
But there also are some extenuating circumstances. There's some people helping you out that might not be getting the shine. So you move to a new system and you can't do the things that you used to do, and it just doesn't work out the way. So whose fault is that? Sometimes that's just the way that it works.
Right.
And you not being happy, how you not being happy and you just got to the Super Bowl? Stop playing, bro. So, and under the umbrella of, we just had this long conversation about how Vic Fangio is, the old school type of way. You either bring it or you on the bench. So clearly, you was on the bench and he got hurt. So he got hit with a little bit of Murphy's Law.
Right.
But that happens to everybody at some point in time. Everybody get a turn. So you look like you was trending up, and then you got hurt. And
Fangio acknowledged that. Fangio acknowledged that he was figuring it out that he got hurt.
Yeah, it didn't work out. So you just keep it moving. So I don't know why you wanted to trade so bad, but here's
Well,
the other thing. It's going
go
to
ahead.
take a
Sorry, go
whole
ahead.
season. It's going to take a whole season to figure out if he was right or not. Because what happens if you go to San Francisco and you only get 2 sacks? Then what? Then what?
What pissed me off the most about his comments was when he said, "I knew fairly early on this wasn't going to work."
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you
And
can say something don't mean you should. Keep your mouth shut.
and when I think he elaborated on it, he said something like,
They might want to lose this ring on purpose.
I knew in training camp. He said that.
He said training camp?
Yes.
Man.
Yes. He spoke on it. He said, I even felt it a little bit in training camp. He said that.
Yeah, he sure did. I didn't get to the end of this yet. When I had my camera problems, I had to cut away. I was reading this. Noting his expectations were at an all-time high when he arrived, Huff suggested things went south in a hurry as early as training camp.
That's what pissed me off.
I talked to my agent about it and was like, when it's all said and done, I might need to step to put myself in the best position to ball out and have a fruitful career.
Let's stay there for a second. You already thinking about your exit strategy? They just gave you $34 million on the arm. You already thinking about your exit strategy? How can you play your best when you already thinking about walking out the door?
There's a plethora of things that went down. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league for 5 years, I kind of felt what it felt like to be in a good situation. I kind of knew where
it was headed
early into the season, probably even training camp, if I'm being honest. So what were you
doing? Play for the Jets. What you mean you know what it's like to be in a good situation? You play for the Jets.
Exactly.
You play for the Jets. Stop it. And you sparking me, bro. You sparking me, Marcus.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I am so tired.
You sparking me,
players getting on social media and in these interviews and being all cryptic. Say what it is. That way, there's no misunderstanding. Can't nobody make things up. That nobody can quote from sources. None of that. Say what it is. I'm being cryptic.
He said enough for me. I don't know what happened.
That were better than you. And if you want to get specific, you got a kid named Jalen Hunt that was from school you never heard of that was probably playing better than you in camp.
And bought in. And actually bought in.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't pay you that much money and don't give you an opportunity. And if you knew it, that means you knew that the dude that they brought in was better than you.
Yep. I feel like to be that early on your exit strategy.
Come on, man.
Is alarming, bro. That's alarming. You know I don't think he realized how he sounded when he said that.
That's like me being salty that the Eagles cut me and not acknowledging the fact that they signed this dude they drafted the dude named Charlie Garner. That wasn't the shit. Stop playing. Dude, you got a job to go in there and do it, and they paying you a lot of money to do it, and you in your feelings because somebody was better than you, and nobody expected it because you never heard of where he come from. That's the ego thing I was talking about. Do you buy in? I'm getting paid this much money, so I guarantee you he thought he was just going to walk in and play. And that goes to not knowing who Vic Fangio is. You fucked around and found out though. Oh my God!
I'm trying to exercise. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm trying to exercise so much restraint because, like I said, like I promised myself that I really wouldn't peel the layers back on this because it's a waste of my energy. It's a waste of my passion. I do have a lot that I want to say about it. Please don't get me wrong. I have a lot that I want to say about it. But he spoke like he said just enough. You were already out on the team in training camp. I'm pretty sure the other guys in the building felt that.
Let me put this out as a public service announcement. Okay. So any fans, any players that may happen to see this podcast, all right, remember this. I don't care what sport you play. If you are playing at the professional level, whether you have a contract or not, Every year, your job is on the line. Every year, that team brings in somebody to take your spot. That is the way the business is run. You got to fight for your shit every year. And just because you got a contract, they still gonna pay you when you on the bench. So don't get comfortable. And it sounds like maybe he got comfortable. Maybe
I don't see.
I don't know.
I don't see how. Like, now I'm not saying you're wrong, but like, I don't see how. I don't see how, brother. Like, you had one good season.
Tone people do it all the time.
You know what? Honestly,
people do it all the time.
The Eagles are partially to blame as well.
Absolutely.
The Eagles deserve some to blame as well because they miss. Either he misrepresented himself, or they misevaluated this player, because the Eagles they're usually pretty good about putting the right people in the building. Forget talented, finding the right people with the right mind. They're usually pretty good about that. This brother,
sometimes you miss. Sometimes you miss. What was his hold on.
Brother. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna keep it as respectful as I can.
Watch this year. He, in my opinion, he'll be somebody to watch in San Francisco, because everything aligned in his favor. Everything is in his favor now.
You got Robert Saleh. Yeah, Robert Saleh again.
Yes, he couldn't have asked for a better situation.
Mm-hmm.
You with your old coach, you with the same coach that you had your best season as a pro. You in San Francisco, you got warm weather, you got everything you need. You got all the fish you can eat in Fisherman's Wharf. You good, right? So now you got no excuses. None.
Oh, I don't think he realized I'm going to be watching his career like a hawk. I'm going to be watching his production this year like a hawk. He has no idea. Eagles fans are going to be in them DMs and we like. And again, I'm not even bitter about it. It's just the hubris that's being displayed right now.
It's annoying. It's annoying, and that's why I say, and this is the bane of social media these days. Just because you can't say something, don't mean that you should. Because you gon' put your own shit on the ground and then step in it. So you got to be careful. It's like everybody ain't got to say something. So sometimes you don't. How you think we got the mystique of the NFL? Because back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, the only time you saw comments was when you was watching Wild World of Sports or whatever was on television at the time, the 16 channels on cable. So you had that mystique, you had that mystery. You didn't know how the sausage was made. Now we see everything. We see the warts, the flaws, and everything. And a lot of your favorite teams and your quote unquote favorite players, you find out you really don't like them.
Bro.
But guess what? You're going to learn today. We're going to see how good you are. If you good, you good.
We're definitely going to find out.
We're going to find out.
We are definitely going to find out, because like I said, I'm going to be watching his production like a hawk, big dog.
Absolutely. And guess what?
I want him to be successful. I do. That's the thing.
I want him to be successful. Does San Francisco come to us?
No, I don't think we played him this year.
No? I was about to say, if he mess around and come to Philly, oof. Well, he gonna get that Broad Street welcome.
Man, he was getting cooked by tight ends. Like even a bad edge rusher who's not having the best season could be the tight end.
Yeah,
he was getting cooked by tight ends, bro. Please stop it. Stop it, bro.
And admittedly, because I remember when I did that tape on him, I did that film study on him, and I was like, "Yeah, this looks bad."
Stop it, bro.
I know he has to be better than this. He has to be,
or he ain't.
And if he's not,
or is a fluke.
But this is what I'll say: if he's not, then I'm looking at Howie Roseman and was like, "What were you thinking? What were you looking? What did you see?"
He saw the production.
Make you spend that type of money.
He saw the production. He saw an ascending. He saw what he thought was an ascending edge rusher and an undrafted guy. He knew he can get him for a reasonable price.
Oh, and also to be fair, we looking at this one-sided. Was the situation with Hassan Reddick so bad that you was like, "Oh, dude, just give me anything, whatever you got, just get what you got that's somewhat comparable"? Was the situation with Hassan Reddick that bad? where Howie Roseman was like, "F it, give me what you got. What you got on sale?" You know what I mean?
Remember they signed him free agent. He wasn't a trade. They signed him straight up.
Yeah, but they knew Hassan Reddick was. They knew they wasn't gonna do nothing with Reddick. They knew
Right. So I mean, yeah. I guess it was like a pseudo trade because they both players just swapped organizations.
Yeah.
But he was, this dude was getting manhandled by tight ends. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, with all due respect, you was getting cooked by tight ends. And we want to talk about how things was going soft from the start. Yeah, you was going soft. You was getting put in the dirt. Yeah, you was going soft.
Yeah,
like it's, bro. Stop it, dog. Like stop the cap, man. You didn't have it. You didn't have it. You couldn't expand your repertoire. You couldn't expand your game. You got me. You got exposed. You were made to be uncomfortable by a coach who didn't play no BS, and you didn't like that.
Yep.
You was too used to mediocrity. You was too used to being a subpar. You was too used to being a part of a subpar organization in New York and the Jets that you weren't used to greatness. You weren't used to expectation.
Oh man, I done triggered Tone, y'all. I done triggered him.
Like, come on, man. Come on, bro. You got young guys like Nolan Smith buying in before you. What are we talking? You're supposed to set the example, OG. You're supposed to be the vet in the room. You're supposed to set the example. You can't be the first one quitting. You've been in the league longer than this. You can't be the first one tapping out because somebody said, "Hey, listen, what Franklin say to his man in the car?" He said, "You want me to get mad at another man for how he talk? You want me to get mad at him about the way another man talk? How you sound? How you sound? We're talking business.
I built this brick by brick. Well, we gonna find out, man.
Brick by brick, me.
And
you want me to get mad about the way another nigga talk? Bryce Huff, you want me to be mad because the way Vic Fangio talk to you? The way Clinton Hurt and Jeremiah Washburn talk to you? This is business. This is professionalism. Buy in. Or cash out and take your chips and go home, kid. What are we talking about, man? You was getting beat by tight ends, dog. Now drive. Drive to San Fran. Get out of here. Drive. I did not want to talk about this, Marcus. You did this. It's your fault.
My bad.
Is this your fault?
My bad, Tone.
Listen. I was very at the moment I saw that news come across. I was gonna make content about it. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I tweeted. I said, I'm not going to entertain it, y'all. I even retweeted the video where he had his comments, and all I wrote was interesting. So I wrote, wasn't gonna jump out the window. But Marcus, I blame you.
I'll take it.
I blame you for stoking this fire. I blame you for sparking me up, bro.
What Akon say? You can put the blame on me. Put the blame on me.
Oh my God, bro! Like seriously, man. Like, yeah, things were going south since training camp. Get out of here,
man. It bees like that sometimes.
Soft,
man.
bro.
But we gonna find out. We gonna find out. So everybody get a turn, and guess what? He got to line up still. And you know what? Not for nothing. Anybody playing the 49ers, you know what they're gonna bring up? They're gonna bring up that tape from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to look at him like he is not a threat. Unless he proves otherwise.
Listen, you playing with Nick Bosa, you playing with Fred Warner and them boys. That defense lost some players too, by the way. They lost Talanoa Hufanga at safety, who went to Denver. I think they lost. Didn't they lose Greenlaw and Kinlaw?
They lost the best weapon on their defense when DeMeco Ryans took the head coaching job in Texas.
That part too. So like, I mean, he's going to a situation where, okay, maybe you're not asked to be the guy. You're playing next to some pretty talented dudes.
Yeah.
But you better turn up there. They need it. They're coming off a bad season. You better turn up over there.
Wait a minute. Is Bryce Young 6'3"?
I don't know. Is he?
Why they got him?
Wait, Bryce
like 6'1".
Bryce Huff or Bryce Young?
Bryce Huff.
Bryce Huff.
I didn't think he was that tall.
Bryce Huff is 6'3", 255. Yep.
Okay. For some reason, I thought
Him
he
and
was
Zack,
like 6'1".
him and Zack Baun the same height, but he got 30 pounds on Baun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like listen, man, bro. I wish you the best, Bryce Huff. I want you to have a prosperous career. Please take my criticisms with a grain of salt. I am simple, and I hope you don't take this as me being bitter. Please just take this as me looking at you funny in the light. That's all. You just look funny in the light to me. You know?
That's funny.
That's all.
Well, since we're talking about replacing him,
funny in the light.
Let's get that. Let's answer that other question. Who sent that? Who sent that other?
You're talking about
Kyle.
the
Get back to Kyle's question. Biggest concern on defense. Kyle's is the secondary.
My biggest concern on defense, as much, to his point, I could say linebacker, but I think Zack Baun is good enough to stabilize whoever plays next to him. But
I think he's good at linebacker.
If I had to, if I had to really like give you my real concern, and this may shock some people because I'm so confident about this player or I'm betting on this player. My concern is the cornerback position opposite Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. That's my concern. And
I agree.
I know some people may see that as a little bit dissonant from my opinion about Ringo and how I'm high on him. I think he's going to do well. I want the player to do well. I'm betting on him doing well, but I also acknowledge that there is some uncertainty. There's uncertainty that exists there, right? It's not that cut and dry. So as confident as I am about the player, there's still threads, there's still fragments that exist where I'm like, hey man, he better be the guy, man. He got to be the guy. So CB2 is my number one concern. My number two concern is I'm gonna say strong safety.
Okay.
And will it be Andrew McCouba? Will it be Sidney Brown? Will it be Tristan McCullum? Right? It's still all up in the air right now. We're gonna find out more. But yeah, I would say CB2 is my first concern. Then my second concern is strong safety next to Reed Blankenship. And then if I had to give you a third concern, Nakobe Dean's future.
I agree.
Because I know he's eventually going to get back on the football field. I know that.
I am still efforting to get him on the show.
I'm still nervous about when we'll see him again and how effective he'll be. I'm a little concerned about that. Getting your legs under you, getting back in football shape. I am nervous about that. I will be honest. So my first concern, CB2. Second concern, safety next to Reed Blankenship. And then third concern is Nakobe Dean's just long-term health. Right. I'm not even talking about him playing. I'm just talking about just getting back.
We'll see. Private McClunky says McCouba didn't sign his contract yet, but he's been in practice.
That can't be possible. Let me see.
I'm not sure if that's correct, sir. I thought he did.
Oh wow! It says Andrew McCouba. I didn't know this. It says Andrew McCouba, the Philadelphia Eagles second round pick, is currently unsigned due to a negotiation over guaranteed money on his standard 4-year contract. While the framework for the deal is set with a total of $7.1 million, McCouba and his camp are seeking a fully guaranteed contract. He was present at OTAs and minicamps, but the contract has not yet been finalized. Oh, he's right.
They'll get it done, though.
They'll get it done. I think they'll get it done. Private McClunky. Private McClunky. You're right. I didn't know that. They must be handling. See, this is what I'm talking about. That when you're a high class, when you're a first class organization, and you do right by people, and you know how to make deals, and you know how to just navigate these conversations and keep things clean. You know how to keep this kind of stuff in house. You know how to let this stuff not be a story, right? what's the dude for Cincinnati? Shamar Stewart, is that his name? Shamar Stewart,
Yeah.
the guy that hasn't signed yet.
Yeah.
The first rounder. Like that versus the Andrew Makuba situation.
And Andrew Makuba's been in practice. If he was serious or had a real problem about the contract, he wouldn't report to practice.
Right. Because I think I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Injury and all that type of stuff. It's just smart not to do that. But the fact that he went to OTAs and I mean, heck, who was it? Reed Blankenship made a comment about him.
Devontae Smith said he's been impressed by him.
Yeah. So it's the fact that he was there and is making strides in that direction means he's gonna. This is into which King says there's a lot of second round picks that haven't signed yet. Everybody's not gonna get signed in the same day. They're gonna take their time because they know. I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but it's not a big deal.
No, I get what you mean. I mean, it speaks volumes about the player's commitment to making sure he's a part of the program.
Correct.
Right. Not allowing the business to offset what his job is because he trusts that the deal's going to get done. And like they said, the conversation isn't about the total dollars, the framework. They just want they're just struggling to find that balance between money guaranteed versus money earned. Right. And again, the details. And like my man said in the chat, it's a non-story. Nigel B, non-story. Not even going to make too much about it. I know Jahai Campbell signed though, but a lot of guys. I think Makuba may be the last one if I'm not mistaken.
Yo, you see that video of Jahai working out?
He looks good, bro.
Yo,
he looks twitchy. He's big as hell, bro.
Yo, let me tell you why I gotta find it.
Yo, I think Reed Blankenship and Cooper's talking on assigning mics, right? And I think Reed is so funny. Reed was like, I came across some of the rookies and I saw Jahai. I was like, yo, this motherfucker big.
I wanted to, I think I commented, I saw somebody's post with the video on it, and I meant to quote it on mine.
Let me see if I can find it. Because I think
Jahai was working out at GT Stallions Field where we used to play.
Word.
I looked at it, I was like, shout out to the GT Stallions. I see you working out at GT Stallions Field right here in Sicklerville, New Jersey. Second to none, baby.
All right, check your Twitter mentions. I mean not your mentions. I'm sorry, your DMs.
Yeah. That's right. That's right here, right down the street from me.
Bro, he look good, man.
That's what that field right there is where my 105s practiced. So I'm very, very familiar with that. Right here in Gloucester Township, South New Jersey. Hod is putting in work, and he's big and he's fast.
Yo, I got this feeling he's going to peak. Oh my god, I feel like Jahai Campbell is going to be so dominant, dog.
If you want to look at it like this,
I haven't been this excited about a defensive player since Jalen Carter, and that was
he might be the reason why. He might be the reason why Trot Jr. don't get another block.
Listen, man.
But he's a joker. I think Vic Fangio is going to try to use him like Dallas was using Micah Parsons. He's going to be all over the defensive line. Different spots. He can jump in and out of any situation. He can be on the line of scrimmage up in the 2-point. And then he will be better at dropping back into coverage.
Bro.
So he is a literal wild card.
He can do everything.
He is fast enough. If you really wanted to play him as strong safety, you probably could.
I think
that fast. He's that man. Listen,
bro.
Y'all watch out for Hod. Watch out for Hod Campbell.
Listen, Nakobe Dean I'm not going to dismiss Nakobe Dean. He had a phenomenal season in 2023. 2024. We don't get where we were without him, setting that tone and being spectacular. I got so much respect for Nakobe Dean, man, laying it out there. Even his injury was like a crazy injury. Like it wasn't like he didn't tear something. It wasn't like I'm tripping. It wasn't like a hamstring or groin or strain. Like it was like he legit had a legit injury.
Yeah.
Making a crucial tackle, by the way.
His
but
his
when I look
kneecap was on the other side of his knee.
yeah, but when I look at Jahai Campbell and I just see the profile, the archetype, the measurables, I watched the highlights in the film and just, bro, he just looks like he's going to be a force.
Got that dude.
He's gonna be he's gonna be a force, bro. But when next to Zack Baun, bro.
You know what people are gonna be saying midway through the season? How the hell did the Eagles get Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Jahai Campbell?
All right, I'm making my first declaration for the 2025 season.
Breaking news.
What? Very first declaration, my very first hot take. Maybe it's not hot, but it's a warm take. Who knows? You guys be the judge. I'm making my very first declaration for the 2025 season. Jahai Campbell's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Jahai Campbell wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Y'all watch. Y'all heard it here first. Listen, clip it, screenshot it, do whatever you got to do. Hold me to it. Write it down, screen record it. Jahai Campbell, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Today is what? July 6th, Sunday, 11:49 a.m. my time, Central Time, 12:49 Eastern Time, 10:49 Mountain Time, 9:49 Pacific Time. And if you're in Hawaii, hey, listen, y'all figure it out from there. But y'all heard it here first.
Oh, shoot.
Mark it.
Oh, shit. 12:50 Eastern Standard Time.
11:50 Central Time. Jahai Campbell, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
All right.
Book it. I'm calling it. That's my first declaration of the season. Matter of fact, I'm gonna remember because it's mine. I'm gonna remember. So
all right.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it, bro.
Tone putting it down. Mm-hmm. Receipt has been printed.
I'm calling it.
Everybody got receipt.
Now, granted, there's a lot of guys. This draft class was loaded. Like, I mean,
yes, it was.
There's a lot of guys that can do it. You got Malachi Starks, you got Mike Green, you got Derek Harmon, you got Walter Nolan.
Alex, the only reason Q didn't get it is because he didn't come up. If Q would have had at least 3 interceptions, I believe
he would have won it. I think so too, because he was second. I think because turnovers, they value turnovers more than sacks. So
yeah. Jared Verse was getting them sacks.
Yeah, if he would have had
payoff. Quinyon was not. Quinyon had two interceptions that was stolen by CJGJ, and then he dropped 2. He should have had 4 or 5.
He should have had 4 or 5 for sure. For sure. 4 minimum. He definitely should have had 4 minimum.
Yep.
But he got 2. He got 2 to matter most. Got 2 in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my declaration. I'm trying to think if I got any right now. I don't want to manufacture anything that's not there, but Jahai Campbell, that's my declaration. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm rolling with that. MJS says the expectations for Campbell are less, so when he murders a few people, the league will notice. Oh man. Sir Jam, my guy, he says, Tony, I hear you, champ, and I agree with you. Yo, listen, I'm telling you, bro, I got this feeling. Harrison Barnes says Verse only had 4.5 sacks. Oh, yeah, he's right about that. What happened was with Verse, they gave him credit for the pressures.
Yeah, absolutely. And rightfully so.
No, I get it. But
that's why I say if Quinyon would have had at least 3 picks.
Listen, I feel like if he would have had 2, he would have won it. But to your point, 2 or 3, like it'll make a difference. I feel like if he would have had a few picks, he would have got it. He would have easily got it if he would have got a few picks.
It is what it is.
They had a hard time justifying it with him not having any interceptions. But if you watch the tape, you would say
he was where he needed to be.
If you watch the tape, you'll say, "Oh, no, he was dominant."
Yeah.
Trying to think. I'm looking at this PFF thing that just dropped an hour ago. I'll send it to you real quick. Check your DMs, big bro. It's pretty interesting. PFF dropped their most valuable defensive line over the past 2 seasons, right? And they have Myles Garrett, Chris Jones, Jalen Carter, and Micah Parsons. This is their most valuable defensive line since 2023 per PFF WAR. So
I'm trying to think if I would sub anybody.
Right.
I mean, I like that list. I like that list.
I probably would have put wait, let me make sure I'm not talking about the side of my face real quick. Hold on. Because I probably would have put Max Crosby. You can make an argument for Max Crosby over Michael Parsons. You can make an argument.
Agreed.
You can make an argument for Trey Hendrickson over Michael Parsons. Actually, I would have put Trey Hendrickson over Michael Parsons. Trey Hendrickson had back-to-back seasons with 17.5 sacks.
But because he played for Cincinnati.
And because he played for the Cowboys.
Yep.
Michael Parsons has not been better than Trey Hendrickson these past 2 years.
I agree.
In my opinion, he hasn't.
I agree. Trevon said, "Tone on one today." Alex, Michael is not overrated, but I understand.
Yeah, he's good. He's as advertised. But I
understand.
I know what you mean though when you say that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's overrated either. But I know what you're saying though. Because I think if he played for a different team, his profile wouldn't be as big as it is. Still be known because he's good, but the star adds more spice to your ginger snaps.
A little more panache. Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, so you can't really include him, but he is getting better for sure. I'm a little concerned about that leg though. He looked a little sluggish in off season. But I really think I can think of a couple edge. Let me look at Micah's stats real quick before I keep down on him because I know he ain't had 17.5 sacks back-to-back seasons. I know that for a fact.
No.
So Micah had 14 sacks in 2023 and 12 sacks in 2024. He's had double-digit sack seasons all 4 years of his career. He's a 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has a decorated career.
But Trey Hendrickson did it in Cincinnati, bro.
Yeah, he's a 2-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro. So he's 3-time All-Pro total. Michael Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro. But 2023 and 2024, you can't sit here and tell me Michael Parsons was more dominant than Trey Hendrickson. You can't justify that.
To your point, if Trey Hendrickson played in Dallas.
If Trey Hendrickson played in Dallas, they'd give him a statue. Come on, man.
Absolutely. He'd be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
If Max Crosby played in Dallas, like
same thing.
Now Max Crosby, he had a down year in 2024. He only had 7.5 sacks.
How many sacks?
5 games. He had 7.5 sacks in 12 games. He missed 5 games. So he definitely would have had double digit.
Max Crosby missed 5 games and still got
7.5 sacks. Yeah, but I still would have put Trey Hendrickson. I would have put Trey Hendrickson over Michael Parsons for his most valuable defensive line over the past 2 years. Because that's what they said. The past 2 years. Now, if they would have said probably the past 4 years, all right, maybe you could make an argument for Micah because Trey had a little bit of a down year in 2022. He had 8 sacks in 5 games. But I'm sorry, 8 sacks in 15 games, excuse me. But from 2020, Trey Hendrickson had 13.5 sacks, 2021, 14 sacks, 2022, 8 sacks, 2023, 17.5, 2024, 17.5. He's been dominant these past 5 years. And Michael Parsons, these past 4 years, 13 sacks, 13.5, 14, 12. So Michael Parsons in 4 seasons has 52.5 sacks. Make sure I got this right here. Let me do some math. Trey Hendrickson in the past 4 seasons. Let's do some quick math. Hold on. 14 plus 8 plus 17.5 plus 17.5 equals 57. So over the past 4 seasons, over the past 4 seasons, Micah Parsons has had 52.5 sacks. Trey Hendrickson has 57 sacks. So you tell me who's been more dominant. You tell me. But because he plays for the Star, Trey Hendrickson will never get that same luster.
Nah, not in Cincinnati, he won't. Not in Cincinnati, he won't.
I can make an argument Trey Hendrickson has been better than Micah Parsons since Micah's been in the league. I can make an argument for
that. That's a good argument.
But people won't entertain it though.
And
because
for anybody that loves to look at strictly the numbers, now you're just talking facts. But that Star is going to give you bonus points.
Yeah. Now I do think Micah's more versatile than Trey.
Absolutely.
I do think that.
Don't get it twisted.
I think Micah Parsons is way more versatile than Trey Hendrickson. but if we're just talking numbers, is that for real?
I don't know. I think you're being facetious. Still, it's funny.
Now I got to look it up, yo. Now I got to look it up, man.
My man, can you relate? What's going on, dude?
Hold on.
What's going on, dude? Yo, you gotta pop on because eventually, again, I'm gonna have my boy Jason Dunn on. Jason Dunn, we went to Eastern Kentucky together. He played 4 years with the Eagles and he played 8 years with the Chiefs. So he is a Chiefs fan, and me and him been on the podcast together. So you definitely have to check it out with me and Jason Dunn.
That's fly, man. That's tough. Shout out to him, man. And by the way, to his point about the whole 20 sacks against, he's definitely been facetious. Micah only has 4.5 career sacks against the
Giants.
Which is actually low.
You can't sack Daniel Jones.
Which is actually low when you think about it.
It is low. It is.
But nonetheless, 4.5 sacks against the Giants, man. So
at the end of the day, man, my man from Cincinnati is putting in work.
That's funny, man. Shout
all the eyes are in Dallas, so you know how that goes.
Yeah, that's all it is, man.
But all right, man, I gotta go eat breakfast, bro.
No, who you telling, bro? It's
this is a fire show, man.
We had fun today. We had fun.
I didn't think I could trigger you like that. I'm going to try to do that again.
No. You triggered me, man. You triggered me. Listen, don't be doing that, man, because I don't want to be getting no random Twitter DMs from players, dog.
Oh my God. Oh, I remember crazy.
I remember one time I said something, man. One player DM'd me. I was like, oh God.
Shoot, should have brought him on the show.
I'll tell you who it was offline.
Okay.
I'll text it to you. I'll text it to you when we leave here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But man, no, hell of a show, man. I appreciate you for always being you, man. You know, setting the stage, making it easy for me. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. Please subscribe to Coach Markus at Pro Fan Talk. He does phenomenal work. Please subscribe to myself as well at Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or we lose, we easily got charged to the game. On top of that, you guys, Coach Markus is covering the WNBA, doing a phenomenal job at that. And again, just does great work. Puts blood, sweat, and tears into this content, and you can just see how much he cares about it, man. So, make sure you guys continue to support him, man. Truly, we appreciate you guys. Do you have any final words before we get out of here, big dog? Because I ain't got
nothing. My birthday week, bro.
Oh yeah,
July 12th.
July 12th. What's that? A Leo or something? What's that?
Cancer.
The strong but sensitive type,
bro. Double nickels.
Cancer, the strong but sensitive type, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, for my birthday, I will be having some type of birthday stream. Haven't figured that out. But yo, just hit me with a sub. That's all.
For sure, man. That's perfect gift. Sub in the light, man.
And
a super chat works too.
You got to figure out a way to give me two. So open up that other YouTube account, the other Gmail account, and sub that too.
The one you're not using.
Because I am a twin. So I got to get one for me and one for my sis.
Hey.
So it's all good. So we're gonna have some fun this week. And then we's 16 days out till camp. Mm-hmm. So at the end of next week, we'll be within a week. So we'll be getting in the mix, bro.
I know.
And the end of this month. The plan is I am moving, right? I am splitting the channel.
Yes, you've been working on it.
Yeah. So all of my basketball stuff is going to my other channel called Pro Fan Hoops. And I'm going to keep this one, Pro Fan Talk. and I'm gonna try to concentrate more on strictly Eagle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna let that. I'm not gonna make that move until camp starts.
Yeah, if I were you, also what I would do is I would until you get more people migrating over, I would double stream on both channels.
That's what I'm starting to do because I got my camera hooked up, and yes,
yeah,
I've done that one time, but I got to do it more often.
Yeah, simulcast, and you'll be able to migrate people over there slowly but surely.
Yeah,
and then eventually you ain't gotta simulcast whenever you
right
go live
now,
basketball no more. So
I'm shuffling all my basketball content. I'm just duping it over to the other channel. I think last I looked, I got 115 subscribers, so it's moving. So just trying to ramp that up, and then I'm officially gonna move to the new channel at the end of the month, but I'm still gonna keep everything the way it's going. But and that way I can roll this out. I can roll with to the end of the WNBA season,
right,
and we'll be all good. But when the NCAA women's season picks up next year, all that'll be on the new channel. Plus, I'll be doing. My nephew is playing in Australia right now, so he's in NBL 1. So I'll be doing some of his games at like 6 o'clock in the morning and crazy stuff like that. So
that's tough.
It'll be all basketball, bro. All basketball. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's fly, man. Definitely, you got my support, man. I think I subscribed on like 3 or 4 of my channels, 3 or 4 of my accounts. So
appreciate it. We're gonna keep growing.
Yeah, sure.
Keep growing.
Yeah, for sure, my man. Keep doing the Lord's work. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Keep fighting a good fight. Eagles fans, we appreciate y'all as well. NFL fans, we appreciate y'all. Even if you just NFL fan, if your team is whoever it is, just pass through. We appreciate y'all. So smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channels. Pro Fan Talk, subscribe there. Pro Fan Hoops, go subscribe there. Chalk It Up Sports, please go subscribe there, you guys. And it's straight like that. Hey, Marcus, spin that record, man. Play that song.
Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Flying guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. I like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by.